Hi, everybody. Good evening. Well, thank you, Kunjan. Thank you, Johnny and Sarah, for the invitation. This is my first time coming to this event, which just seems kind of odd since I've been an investor for 28 years in alternatives. So I was flattered that you asked, and it's nice to see all of you here. I have to say, I especially love groups where I get invited to speak, where it's a really diverse group of men and women who care about this issue, because it's not an issue, right? We know we are better investors. Business is better when we have the most diversity of thought around the table, the most diverse perspectives around the table, which we know often comes from when you put people of different genders together, you put people of different ethnic backgrounds together, different ways they grew up. All of it. And so I'm always thrilled, and I've actually, for some who know me well, started about probably 4, 5 years ago. I started saying no to people asking me to speak at just women's events anymore. And they, first they were shocked. Why would you say no? And I said, look, I love all you guys. But the thing is we all know the challenges and the issues and the opportunities, and we all agree. We need to get all the other people in the industry to come together with us. All the great men in our industry. We have a lot of great men in our industry. All kinds of people need to come and to these events so that we can have this conversation more broadly. Which is that point right there, have this conversation more broadly. That was how this all started, this thing called Girls Who Invest. So I never intended to start a nonprofit called Girls Who Invest. I just, having left the job as Chief Investment Officer in the New York City Pension Fund, realized when I did sit in that seat, and at that point managing $160 billion on behalf of 700,000 amazing New York City teachers, firefighters, police officers for their retirement security, which was a huge responsibility, a great privilege. And even though I was an investor all those years before in the private sector and knew that there were a few women, particularly those that looked like me, in my part of the investment universe, which I've been a long-only equity investor, long-short equity investor, big mutual fund companies, big hedge funds, and then just got to the point in my life and career where I wanted to get back and do public service, which is why I left the private sector to join the public sector. So I knew that, again, that there were few women like me in those areas, public equities and hedge funds, but I didn't realize how bad it was everywhere in terms of this lack of diversity. And honestly, I was shocked by what I saw. But again, for those who know me, I wasn't going to keep my mouth shut once I saw what I saw, which was anytime I got to anyone's organizational charts and their presentations. Now, granted, think about it, 4th largest public pension plan in the United States, one of the largest in the world. So every asset manager then around the world who wanted to manage New York City's money was then coming to meet with me, which again, as an investor, love that. I'm now investing in private equity deals, real estate deals, infrastructure, fixed income. It was fantastic. But yeah, I was shocked by what I saw. And I looked down on these pages and see few, if any, women on investment teams pretty much everywhere. And I didn't understand what was going on. So of course I called everybody out on it and I asked the question. And I don't know, it seems odd to me today though that I seem to be one of the only LPs back in 2013, 2014 asking that question. Now we all know you can't get into a meeting with a potential client LP without the first 5 minutes they're saying, where's all your diversity, get out of my office, right, which I love. But back then it didn't seem to be as much the case, I guess. And every time I asked the question, what I got back was, oh, Seema, of course we would want to hire more women, we would love to hire more diverse talent, but we don't get resumes. And all I did was ask the question back saying, well, I don't know, have you ever thought for 1 minute that maybe there's something about your culture that these women don't want to go? You didn't know that can be it? That certainly can be it. But I don't know, just throwing it out there. And then I learned about what a lot of the larger firms were doing in terms of recruiting talent. And that was, again, I couldn't believe what I heard. which was many of some of the best firms out there, many of them, partners of Girls on Invest. I mean, really fantastic people, fantastic firms, never had college internship programs. I just couldn't believe that either. Again, some of the largest, most successful firms out there managing hundreds of billions of dollars never had college internship programs. So I learned a lot during that time. So after I left that job, I wanted to get a conversation started more broadly about this issue, because every panel I ever was on or any keynote presentation I ever made, and you're in that seat, I had a big megaphone and I used it. And so I would call out to hundreds of asset managers in these audiences, you know, an audience like this. And I would say very loudly, you know, everyone, we have a serious problem in our industry. And I think we all agree, and I think we've all read the same research. McKinsey's put out great research, you know, CFA put out great research, lots of great research that, not that you needed it, that demonstrated that more gender diverse teams get better outcomes, better business outcomes, better investment returns. So of course, we want that when we're trying to make really hard investment decisions. So I don't know about you, but investing is hard. And it's hard to do it well. And it just gets harder every week, every month, every quarter, every year. And if we don't figure this out, we will fail all of our clients. We will fail all of those teachers and firefighters and police officers who are relying on us to get it right. We will fail all the mothers and fathers out there, the grandmothers and grandfathers out there, the students trying to save money for college. We will fail them all if we don't figure this out. So here's the thing. You tell me you can't find the women, so I will make you a deal. I'll go find them, and then you hire them. And they looked at me and said, what? And I said, yes, that's the deal. So of course, I was talking to, and talking to. Okay, so I leave that job. I write an op-ed article. I've never written an op-ed before in my life. I was encouraged to do it. Friends of mine just would not let me not do it. And so I wrote it, and I don't know for those of you who read it, if not, don't worry about it. It's just, I wrote about, here are the issues, here are the challenges about getting more gender diversity in asset management. These are frontline principal investing jobs, right? We have amazing women in operational roles, marketing roles, business development roles, general counsel roles, all amazing. But why are they missing here? And that was my question. And so, okay, in the article I said, all right, maybe we do have a pipeline problem. That's what I kept hearing. And even though I've heard that a million times before, we don't get resumes from women, I thought, fine, I will agree with you, but we can fix that. I did actually say at the same time when I was having these conversations with a lot of the leaders of our industry back then that that can't be enough, though, to focus on the pipeline. Because here's the thing, there are still firms out there in our business that have cultures that are not so welcoming to women. So we need to have that conversation too. Because think about it, if we can tackle it from both ends, we'll make a lot more progress a lot faster. So I threw out this idea, why don't we have something called Girls Who Invest? And here's what we would do. We'd go young, we could go to high school, we certainly go to college, all across the place. And by the way, what I heard too from the leadership of our industry was they seem to believe that the talent only existed at 5 colleges. And then 2-year investment banking programs. How could that be, right? That was my question. It's just what I learned was they didn't want to do the work. We were not doing the work. And so I said, again, to all of them, fine, you don't want to do the work, I'll do the work. When I do the work, and I find these super talented women from everywhere, because I know they're out there. Oh, by the way, we will not only do that, but we will train them, mentor them, prepare them, guide them, then send them off to you. Now, what's your problem? And they all looked at me and said, you're not going to do that. I was not planning to do this. But I got overwhelmed with the response. When that op-ed came out, Bloomberg told me, because they published it in September 2014, they told me it was the 4th most read article on the Bloomberg terminal that day. It was an op-ed. So I got hundreds of emails from men in our business, college professors, business school professors saying, Seema, you got to do this. And I thought, whoa, wait a minute, you want me to start Girls on Invest? That's so not what I was planning to do in my career. I want to go back to the private sector and be an investor in the markets because I love that. But I'm clearly passionate about this, so let me try to figure it out. So I just thought, as any good analyst would do, I did my due diligence. So I met a lot of the people that emailed me for coffees, breakfast, lunches, dinners, all through a lot of our 2014 and 2015. Because look, I wasn't convinced that we needed something called Girls Who Invest. I didn't know enough. So I went and talked to all the great firms, and I sat down with them and asked them, I'm an investor like you, I don't know a whole lot about what you do to recruit talent, so tell me what you do. And that is actually what they told me. You go to these 5 schools, these 2-year investment banking firms. And I looked at them and started laughing. I said, that's what you do? No wonder I have a problem with diversity, right? And then I went to a couple of college campuses, and we have, first of all, Catherine Kolscher, our CEO of Girls Who Invest, is here, who's amazing. We have Tina Kim, our head of partnership here, who's amazing. And we have 2 of our Girls Who Invest alumni scholars who are crushing it in our business full time now, having gone through our program several years ago, and I couldn't be more proud. And so they're here, and hopefully you'll get to talk to all of these amazing women. But I did go to a couple college campuses, and I talked to a couple hundred college women. Because we know the statistics, right? And it's getting even more skewed, I would say now, in terms of the data I saw last, which is women are 50% of the population of a lot of colleges across the United States. And I think now women get more of the undergraduate degrees. I think it's even tipped over now, right? And certainly more, a lot of the graduate degrees, right? And so it's just, anyway, so at least 50% though, right? So I went to these campuses, and I said to an audience again like this, and a lot of young women, and I said, all right, you're 50% of the population of these colleges, why are you not going into our industry? And a lot of them, like me, growing up, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't know what it was to be an investor. My parents came from India 62 years ago with $8 in their pocket. And I have an older brother and older sister. We were all born and raised here. And I feel like I, for sure, hit the lottery with parents. And they're both passed away now, and my mom recently, and it's been really hard for me. Because she's been my inspiration, my best friend. Anyway, so I just remember what it was like growing up, and how hard it was, not just to figure out what you want to do in life, because in our Indian community, you're the doctor, lawyer, and engineer, and that was kind of it. And I thought I wanted to be a corporate lawyer, so I was on the list. My brother and sister are both doctors. My dad was a civil engineer. My mom built an amazing business from scratch, residential real estate brokerage business in Norwalk, Connecticut, where I grew up, determined to fight for any and other immigrant family like ours. This is the 1960s. We were not shown nice homes in nice neighborhoods in Connecticut because of the color of skin where we came from. And she was determined to fight to make sure nobody else had to go through that experience. And she ran that business successfully for 22 years, and then merged with a co banker, and then she retired. So you think about starting Girls Who Invest. I'm not even coming close to what my mom did, but so anyway, I remember what that was like. And I thought I wanted to be a corporate lawyer, and I knew nothing about Wall Street really when I was in college. And so clearly there were a lot of young women that said to me, Seema, we have no idea what it is to be an investor. And we certainly didn't know that it was interesting, stimulating, rewarding, and impactful. That was a big one. A lot of those women were like, Seema, we don't just want to make a lot of money, we want to make a positive impact on the world. I'm like, yes, so do I. And don't you realize you can do that as an investor? They actually did not know. And I gave them 3 simple examples, and I had a lot of women coming running up to me, seeing where do we sign up. That's great. Then there was this group of women who did know about our industry. Frankly, what they knew, not great, particularly post-2008 and the financial crisis. And then honestly, it doesn't help when you have movies called The Wolf of Wall Street in Hollywood and shows on Showtime called Billions. And those women said, all right, Seema, you guys sound to me like a very noble profession. You guys are a bunch of mean, greedy, competitive people. By the way, sometimes go to jail. And I was like, whoa, we have a little bit of an image problem here. I thought, okay, I got that. So I said to them, look, it's true, but there's only this many of them, and let's just put them to the side for now. And oh my God, let me tell you about all the amazing women and men in our industry who are doing all these incredible things that I just described to you. And you know what? They're my friends. You think I'm hanging with these other people? No, these are my friends. And I'm going to introduce you to them one by one. So as I'm having all these conversations is how I came up with this summer program for college women. And I literally never done anything like this before in my life. I realized I was an entrepreneur, like my parents were entrepreneurs. I didn't realize that until I started Girls Who Invest. I made everything up. And so far, so good. I made it up. They're the product. It's incredible. Right? So it's a very simple model. And oh my God, Urja Rasal is here too. Another one of our girls investment women's college, who, by the way, is at Morgan Stanley Investment Manager. Fixed income investor, another one crushing it in our industry. I'm happy to say. So nice to see you. Look, I don't have kids of my own, but I feel like these are my girls, and I want to help them navigate all these situations. We have the most incredible girls in the city, the best in the industry, I have to tell you. And we have all these amazing people in our industry who are mentors to these women, which makes me so happy and so proud, right? And I've learned so much through this process of putting this program together in the beginning and where we are today, 8 years in. I mean, it's just the most incredible thing. We have 2,500 Girls Invest alumni now in 8 years. 2,500. And you know what? 70% of them are staying in the investment business, getting incredible job offers and working at some of the best firms in the business. And I started with 30 women in my pilot program in 2016. And you know what? All the programs are free. Daughter of Indian immigrants, $8 in your pocket. The last thing this was going to be about is all the privileged young women in our country. And I was determined, and I told my board at the time, I had this incredible board, advisory board, you know, I have MS, and I hadn't really said much about it publicly until recently, but I was diagnosed 17 years ago. And I was not walking well when I started Girls Invest. It was very hard for me to get around, but I was not going to let this stop me. You know, and it's like a miracle what's happened for me since I found a medication that works. I've been getting it for 6 months. But my brother figured it out. He's the smartest person I know. But you know, the thing is I told my board that if I have to single-handedly walk door to door, bang on doors, get my knuckles bloodied, my feet, maybe trip and fall a bunch of times on my way to raise this money, I was going to make sure we raised enough money so every woman never had to worry about money, could apply to Girls Invest and go through our programs. I was determined to do it, and we've done it. So, as founder, I'm a very involved founder. Maybe the team here not so happy about that sometimes. But I'm chair of the board, you know, still. And why do I keep doing this? I love my job. I'm Morgan Stanley Investment Manager. I've been there nearly 4 years now. It's hard to believe. It's a great firm. I love what I do. I am back to being an investor, which is fun. I'm on a senior leadership team, working on a lot of this retention issues in our industry. It's fantastic. I love it. But why do I keep doing the Girls Invest in the way I do it? I mean, it's my heart and soul is in this, but it's these women, right? I mean, 70% of that number, 70% of these 2,500 women are women of color. They come from over 180 different colleges and universities across the United States. So not just about the Ivy League, definitely not just about 5 schools, right? And then 70 different majors to study-ish. So we are taking the English majors, philosophy majors, biology majors, and the business and finance majors. By the way, I was a psychology and philosophy major. I never took a finance or accounting class ever until I got to business school, and I love university. Right? So with all that diversity, 70% staying in the business, getting multiple job offers from investment. I mean, the numbers are just amazing, right? But the stories, my God, and now our young women tell their own story. I mean, I go everywhere I go and talk about Girls Who Invest and the value and the, you know, how critical it is to have, you know, gender diversity and investment management and all this all over the world, which I'm, you know, flattered by and I'm grateful for. But everywhere I go, I tell these women's stories because they're just amazing, right? We are giving women a shot who would never get a shot. Why? Because they go to right school, whatever that means, and they have the right background, whatever that means, right? And I have to say, in 8 years too of Girls Who Invest, I've been so encouraged by our industry. The partnerships that we have, you know, these are real partnerships. I could have never pulled out, I tell these young women all the time, that for me in my life, in my career, it's always been about friendships and relationships. It was never about the next stock trade in my portfolio. And I know people do live their careers that way and they're very successful and that's great. But for me, I just want to have great friends. and community of these women, the community of all of you being a part of this, it's been spectacular. And there's just, you know, I'm so proud to see them and where they are and what they're doing, but most importantly, I'm proud of who they are as people, as individuals, and as a collective. When I hand wrote that application in the beginning, it literally did, and I'm a media tech investor, so not tech savvy, but when I sat down to write that application, I knew, again, there were super talented women everywhere, and I was gonna find them. But I also wanted to find kind women, and women that were going to back each other up and support each other, because that's what this was about. Right? Look, you guys, men, you guys have the best boys club of all time. I say it all the time. I feel like an honorary member in many ways, and thank you, but so not the same, right? And so ideally, what will happen is a lot of these women will stay in the business. That is very much on me, I'll tell you personally as a founder, and I know that it's for our team. I'll tell you right now, I will be a total failure as a founder of Girls Who Invested. All I ever did, all we ever did, was find these super talented women everywhere, train them up, and by good luck, and they all left. So we are raising a bunch of money to build continuing education into our alumni community. Because we know very well what you experience 1 year out of school, 5 years out, 10 years out, 15 years out, it's very different. And especially different men versus women, and compared to women, right? It's just for some of the obvious things, but it's very different. And so Catherine, our CEO, is every day, I know, thinking about what is then the curriculum. I came up with a curriculum for a college student getting into our industry. So then we have to figure out collectively, what's the curriculum for a woman that's 5 years out of school? How do we keep her on that track to become a portfolio manager for me and Alice? How do we keep her on that track to running $100 million, $1 billion, to me, you know, privileged to help manage $160 billion for the city of New York. So we have to figure this out together, right? All of this has been a major industry effort and initiative, and I am grateful for all the great men, because we have a lot of men in our industry and a lot of great men, that they sat across the table from me and they said, you know what, Seema, you're right, we haven't figured this out. What do we do? And I said, you know what? I don't know, I'm making it up. And so we'll make it up together. And literally, I walked around with a 10-page business plan. And here we are. So, what's the number now, Tina? 400 women full-time on investment teams in 8 years, is that right? I mean, look at that. So look, in my view, this is all doable, clearly. Otherwise, you know, we wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be here, you know, speaking with all of you. And you know, look, I'm at Morgan Stanley, and we haven't figured it all out clearly, no, but we're working on it. I'm working on it with my colleagues. It has to be that way. It has to be a partnership. And so I'm hopeful that for those of you who are not yet partnered with Girls Who Invest and are not yet hiring our women, you're missing out. Please sign up. Please go talk to Catherine and Tina, and our scholars who are here can tell you, share their stories firsthand. You don't have to hear it from me. I know there's a yeah, you can do that and then hit donate, you know, that would be great. But look, really, we need your partnership. We need your mentorship for these young women. I created something called the Girls Invest Ambassador Program. What is that? I thought mentor was an overused word. I like coming up with names, clearly. So I woke up one day and I said, you know, let's call them Girls Invest Ambassadors. That sounds pretty cool. What is that? It's just men and women in our industry who have raised their hand to mentor a young college student who's interested in our business. I mean, what's more beautiful than that? And I've learned a ton through this whole process. I've underestimated a lot of things. And one of the things I've underestimated was that I realized that people in our industry really do want to mentor. Just, I think nobody made it easy for us to do it. And suddenly Girls Who Invest did. And I was literally in the beginning on the phone calling around to all of you. Now, talk to our team, we have the roles and responsibilities of a Girls Who Invest Ambassador. There's a document, right? I mean, it's really cool. So please sign up to be mentors for our young women. Sign up to be partner firms of ours. Hire these incredible women. We have a wait list of firms wanting to do this, but we'll try to carve out some room for some of you to do it. And the demand clearly out there with all the college students, all the young women that you know, please ask them to apply. We got over 2,200 applications last summer for this summer's program, which we have an on-campus model, which is what I started with, which is the 4 weeks of training, 7-week paid internship at a leading asset manager. That's 207 women went through our program this summer. Started with 30. And then we added online programs in year 3 because I got overwhelmed with the applications then. I didn't want to discourage all these incredible young women who clearly shown an interest in our industry, but I didn't have a place for them. So we created online programs, and those are all free too. And so, hundreds more are going through that program. This summer alone, I believe we'll have over 400 college women go through both of our programs. 600. Started with 30. 600, our largest cohort ever. So tell every young woman out there that you know, who's a freshman or sophomore in college, who has any interest. They don't need to know anything about a financial statement data authority. They don't need to know anything about accounting. They don't need to know anything about anything other than they have a passion for it, they're interested, they're intellectually curious, and they work hard, and they're nice, kind. That's all it takes. So anyway, thanks so much for having me. It's really nice to see all of you. I thought we'd open up for questions.
I'll start with a question. This is an amazing story, so thank you for sharing it with us. I think what you did is a perfect example of a very good investor because you found the problem, you asked all the right questions, and you invested in the right organization and the right people. So thank you. Maybe we have some time. We have about 25 minutes, so maybe what we could do is, if no one has any questions right now, if you don't mind sharing your perspective on the industry, maybe the outlook, and also share how, as the mix changes, right, as there are 200 Stevens out there, what's your vision of 20 years from now, what the industry looks like, right? So maybe just two-part question, outlook and future.
Yes, thank you. So back also when I started Girls Invest, I put out something that I called, and we call my 30 by 30 vision. Again, thought it sounded cool, 30 by 30. And that was 2015, right? So we had 15 years to get there. Clearly aspirational goal, but that's to have 30% of the world's investable capital managed by women by 2030. Because at the time, and still to this day, which is unfortunate, I think, again, for all those people we're trying to make money for, who were relying on us and counting on us to get it right, is that number right now, women manage less than 5% of the roughly $100 trillion invested professionally globally. How is that good for anybody? It actually is number closer to 2%. And women of color, we don't even show up on the ledger. So we have a long way to go. But I knew I had to put out a target. Because if we don't have targets, then what are we doing? And so yes, clearly aspirational. We're making progress. Right? I mean, one cool thing about Girls Who Invest is, again, we're not just the pipeline coming in, right? A lot of what we're doing now, especially, is, and I think the work we've been doing has not only encouraged leadership across the industry, but made it like top priority to focus on the talent they already have to make it better for them so that they keep them. Because, right, we all know, I mean, we're all business people. It's so hard to recruit great talent. And then once you do, and then you lose them, you just wasted so much money in training and time. And oh my God, it's cost you a fortune, right? So then you want to keep your talent. And then why do we all have teams that all look the same? That we've had more historically than not now, which is better. Is it's much easier to manage a team that you all look the same. You all went to the same schools, you all have the same backgrounds. It's just easier. That's not better, right? It's like, growing up, I thought it's probably easier for me to marry an Indian man, but it doesn't mean it's better, right? I mean, it's the same kind of thing here, where it's easier to manage teams that look the same, but we know it's not better for business. So how about this? Why don't we just try to get better at managing diverse teams? I know it's hard, but why don't we do that? We have a lot of resources and we can do it, so we need to do it. For all those reasons. So how do we get to this 30% of the world's investable capital? Well, again, it's a huge industry effort. It has to be. And the way I think about it is, it's just this. Again, I felt like what I did, what my mom did all those years ago in building her business, she provided opportunities for people that weren't given it. They could afford a nice place to live, but they just weren't given the opportunity. And she was going to make sure that they got the opportunity. And what are we doing? We're giving all these young women an opportunity. That's it, right? And let them go for it. So just giving them a shot. So similarly now, when we think about the senior people on our teams and the mid-level people on our teams, we should really be asking ourselves, because I ask us and my colleagues every day, how do we decide who gets that next stretch assignment? How do we decide who gets that next promotion? Who gets that next raise? Let's really ask ourselves these, what I think are sometimes uncomfortable topics. Let's have those uncomfortable conversations. Because I'll tell you, what I keep seeing, unfortunately still too much, is, great white man who runs the investment team, wonderful, goes out and plays golf, so that's totally fine and cool. Playing with his buddy on his team, okay, fine, I'm good with that still. They're out playing, and yet then the head of the investment team says, you know what, I'm thinking about starting a new investment fund. I don't know, you're pretty good, I like you, why don't you run that fund? And then I asked the question, wait, what about that woman on your team? She's pretty good too. Oh, Seema, I don't really know her as well. I don't really know her skills as well. I'm kind of a little comfortable. There's a lot of client money, and so I'm going to go with it. Again, it's a comfort factor. I get it. This is all human nature type conversations, by the way. I get it. But is that better for business? When we think about interviewing, shouldn't we interview from a diverse slate of candidates? When we think about promoting, shouldn't we have a slate of candidates that are diverse for promotion? If we're not considering everyone at the table, are we really making the best decision? So if we all get better at that, we'll start to see more, I think, and I'm convinced of it, more diverse people in more senior leadership roles, which is all what we're trying to do, I think, for all the right reasons, making business better, right? That's what this is all about. My God, girls investment not about, oh, it's a women's issue, I gotta fix it. No, I love my industry. This is about making business better. That's all this is. And same with this. If we get this piece right, our industry will look a lot different. And that's one of the things that we say for girls in investment, changing the face of investment. It will look different. And what I've been doing inside of Morgan Stanley Investment Management for the last 3 years, and Urjan knows she's a part of the program. I created a junior investment talent development program inside of our business. I call it the Rising Investors Program. It's to tackle this. So we're focused on investment professionals across asset classes globally at Morgan Stanley Investment Management that are 0 to 8 years of work experience. That's when we tend to lose people, especially our diverse talent. But the program I came up, it's not a diverse talent program. It's an everybody program. Everybody has to be a part of the solution. It can't just be a talent program that sits off to the side of the business and nobody cares. It's not going to work. It has to be core to our business. It has to be an everybody program. Men, women, everyone. For us, that's 400 investment professionals, of which Georgia is one of them. She'll tell you about this program. I made it up too. Dan Simkowitz, who runs the business, who I met with 4.5 years ago. We sat down, we started talking about this. And he said, Seema, you made up a bunch of stuff in Girls of Mess. That worked out pretty well. Why don't you come here and make up a bunch of stuff? I was like, really? He says, I'll back you up 100%. I almost didn't believe him. Glad I did. And so I designed content and programming to address this group of our talent. And so again, I'm trying to create a blueprint that then I can share with everybody, and then we all copy it, and then we all get to where we need to go, right? Again, at the end of the day, to me, this just comes down to how can we just get better, be better and better at doing our jobs on behalf of all these great clients of ours, which is, I think, all we want to do. We want to make the world a better place. We want to do all of it. And a lot of it comes to us, right? Capital. I say to these young women all the time, you want to change the world? You can do that in government, go for it. You can do it in a nonprofit, go for it. But I want you to know, you need to know that you can do it as an investor. When you control capital and you help decide where that money gets invested, you talk about changing the world, that's how you do it. You want to go help all those people in developing economies get clean water? Me too. And guess what? Investors like us help build water treatment facilities. And you want to make a huge social impact? Great. I was the former chief investment officer of the city of New York. I was responsible for 700,000 teachers and firefighters and police officers for their retirement security. Think about that responsibility, and you could have that job. Right? Think about all the innovation you could be a part of in this world. I don't know. How do you think Facebook, Amazon, Apple, how do you think they got to where they are without investors like us helping them grow and expand their businesses? Right? So we all want to do that, and I think we all will continue to do that successfully. I think only if we continue to focus on all of these, which I agree are hard issues, hard things to tackle, but you know what? Making money is hard, and we're actually pretty good at it. So we can figure this out too.
We have a question.
Seema, thank you everything for what you do. It's amazing. And I have a question. So do you have any selection criteria for your program? And if a young girl wants to apply, how would you go about that?
Okay. So any young woman who you know is a first or second year student, freshman or sophomore, studying in the United States of America, that's the only thing. So we have been asked and encouraged and somewhat pushed to do maybe a Girls Invest Europe, maybe a Girls Invest Asia, maybe a Girls Invest Canada. That all sounds great. But we have a lot still to do here in the United States. And there's still a lot more to figure out here. And so the only thing is you need to be studying in the US. A 4-year school, although community college women who are about to go to a 4-year, we accept those women too. So that's all you have to be and identify as a woman or gender non-binary. So yes, that's it, and everything's free. And the internships are all paid. And then the criteria, I mean, again, I go back to intellectually curious, or interested enough in finance and investing, and as a kind, thoughtful person.
We have a question over here as well.
I'm afraid it might be a little bit repetitive, but having the diversity and inclusion conversations comes with a lot of interesting commentary or interesting concerns. What do you say to your market in terms of the companies that are looking to hire, that you have found that in these dynamic women that you're bringing in value to the company? How do you address that?
I look at it as this, which is there is a massive fight for talent globally. It's all about talent. In any industry, in any part of the economy and society, right? In politics, wherever it is, it's all about a fight for talent. And I just say to any firm, if you want to find the best talent, we're here to help. I mean, we make introductions to these incredible women, and we actually then get out of the way, We say, when you hire a Girls Invest Scholar, you don't just hire a sophomore intern. You become a part of Girls Who Invest, which means we're going to introduce you to every single one of our alumni and hire them all, please. Go for it, right? We're a nonprofit. I told the leadership of our industry from the very beginning, I am not a recruiting organization. We are not that. Don't even say that. It's not who we are. It's not what this is. I had venture capitalists come and say to me, oh my God, Seema, you're really onto something. You should make it a for-profit company. I was like, oh, no way. No way, right? So that's what I say.
So I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. But I want to ask a very practical question. You keep saying everything's free. What is it that these girls are getting when they come to your program?
Yeah, you can go on our website, hopefully, girlsinvest.org, and you can see the application, right? You can see. Oh, okay. Okay, so here's what it is, and the way I came up with it is all informed by all these conversations I told you I had with the industry and with young women. So I knew we had 10 or 11 weeks in a summer for any student. That's all you get. And what I kept hearing from the firms, especially private equity firms, where they didn't want to do any of the training themselves, they wanted somebody else to do, right? And so basically I did ask this question. I said, so what you're telling me then is if I teach these young women how to build an LBO model, they hire them? And they're like, yeah. I was like, done, right? So I knew I needed to teach them the technical skills, right, before they go off to these interviews. And by the way, even before that, to me this is about jobs. Getting these women jobs, because how else are they supposed to know whether or not they're going to like it? So just educating them and training them to me was never enough, never going to be enough. But I didn't feel comfortable enough sending them into those internships without the training, because I was going to go find English majors, philosophy majors, biology majors, etc. Right? So I knew how to do technical things. So and then to this day, very few firms have ever asked to see the curriculum. Why? These are all the things that I was thinking about. We have these young women taught by some of the best business school professors in the world. So I got me at Wharton. We do it on Penn's campus, Philadelphia. Room, board, tuition, paid. My girls know that. Okay, so we have, it's not a captive Wharton program. I never wanted this to be captive to anybody. So the professors, it's a very mixed group of professors from Wharton, from Yale, from University of North Carolina, from Harvard, from Stanford, from everywhere, men and women, and actually went to the guy who started the program, our lead academic director, Professor Bill Yilmaz, who's become a very dear, dear friend of mine, Wharton professor, finance professor. I went to him in the early days and I said, Bill J, thank you so much for doing this with me. This is amazing. Because I had not met him. He came 5 years after I graduated. But I don't really want these women to be taught only by men. But I don't know any female finance professors. Do you? He said, Seema, I know 4, and they're my friends. You should call them. And I did. And we got 2 of them to come. And in the early years, they all came on their own dime. No, the professor didn't charge us. I learned what it costs for a Wharton professor to teach for 6 hours. Holy cow. Well, then certainly once we raised as much money, which we have, we've raised over $25 million in 8 years to do Girls in the West. And we will need to continue to raise more because everything's got to be free forever, remember? So please. Why not? But yeah, so hardcore technical skills, and then I also thought it wasn't enough just to teach them technical skills training. Because I felt like we had to build their confidence in other ways, right? So we do presentation skills training, interview preparation training, business etiquette training. We have somebody who comes in and says, that dress like, okay, that one, those shoes, okay, those are good, right? All of that. We have a speaker series again. They didn't believe me that we had wonderful people in our industry, men and women, doing cool things. So every day at lunch, they hear from another amazing woman and man in our industry across asset classes, including asset owners. I would love for young women to want to do what I did in the city of New York one day. So we have chief investment officers, public pension plans, university endowments, foundations. They all come in every day. So I thought, let's jam in a lot of stuff into 4 weeks and send them off into these internships. And I'm really hoping they're going to crush it. And they have done that every year. Oh, that's what it is.
So I wanted to add a little bit of, sorry, can I cut someone off?
So who is it, you or me?
No, you can go first.
Okay, thanks. I really wonder, I sometimes wonder, you have so many women professional organizations. You have 100 women in finance. You have women bond fund. You have some other in finance. All of those organizations, they do provide and they do support internships, scholarships for the women to learn, to educate, and mentor. Why isn't it that all of those organizations, instead of each individual is trying to prove how much better they can be, instead of consolidate and have a much stronger force to educate, to promote, wouldn't that be a lot more impactful?
So, yes, and in fact, Higher Women in Finance was one of my first ones to give a grant. And they've been a partner from the very beginning. Women's Bond Club has been a huge partner in the last couple of years. I mean, absolutely. PWIN, right? The private equity women in.
Yes.
Okay. Kelly Williams is a good friend. They just gave their philanthropic group for this group of women gave their first ever grant to Girls Who Invest. It just happened. It was a big press release about it.
So much stronger.
Well, so here's the thing, right? I mean, we are each tackling a little bit of a difference in the life and the career of a young woman, right? So the PWIN women are mentors to our Girls Who Invest scholars. That is a fact. They are, because they have focused on more mid-level to senior women, and we're focusing on the pipeline coming in. So they have all literally done that. You can definitely argue that if we pooled all of our collective money together, I don't know what that would look like. But there's so much money in our industry that we are pretty well capitalized, and I know they're pretty well capitalized, and I know those guys are pretty well capitalized. So
it could be more impactful, seriously.
well, I do think we are, which I'm happy about, and you're right, we could clearly do more of it, and we will, and we want to. But yeah, I never started a nonprofit before, ever. I don't know if you have, but I never have.
I have.
Okay. And I was surprised at how nonprofit organizations don't partner as much and don't collaborate as much.
Exactly.
And so that's why I went out of my way to do it.
Big egos.
But that's why I went out of my way to do it, because I completely agree with you. And I think the whole team here will tell you the same thing. We do it every day, and we try to get better at it every day, because I never wanted to recreate any wheels. Well, who wants to do that? By the way, I didn't even want to do this. I wanted to go back to being an investor in the markets, right? But I was told that there was something missing. And then when I did the research, I realized, yes, actually there is. So I think I have to do it, because no one's going to do it. I tried to go to SEO. I went to Trigo. I'm like, you guys go do it. I don't know how to do this. But we were focused on different things. And now that we're 8 years old, they're like 40 plus years old. They've been around for a very long time. They've done an amazing job. We've been learning from them about how do you build this incredible alumni community, because Tweetbot has done an amazing job, right? At how to do it. SEO has done an amazing job. So I sat down with them and I said, can you teach me? How did you do it? Right? So we are collaborating, of course. My God, just look at our country, for God's sake. We should be doing a whole lot more collaborating and talking.
Right.
So we have a lot more serious problems in our country than that one, but we're tackling that too, for sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I wanted to add a bit of information to what you just said. The incoming freshman class at Georgetown has a 63% women population, and they're extremely proud of it. And I'm fortunate enough to have my daughter join Georgetown as well.
Well, hey, we got a lot of great Georgetown women that have gone through our program. They're awesome.
What's interesting is that in the last 2 weeks, my daughter asked, my older one who just started college, said, Dad, I'm a biology major, but if I don't want to pursue medicine afterwards, what do I do with it, right? And of course, I work for a life sciences investment company, and opening her eye that what you just stated, that you don't have to be a finance or accounting major to come into this world. But what was even more interesting is my freshman in high school countered that question by asking me and said, so Dad, what do I study to go into your industry, right? So my question to you is that, have you thought of expanding your outreach, or more importantly, the message, to even take it a little further below and say, target kids, let's say coming out of high school, and telling them, here are the things that you can study, and some of the stereotypes like brown kids go become doctors, engineers, and no, you can study these things to become investment bankers and go into the investment industry, and perhaps try to embed that message before they decide to go to college and what they want to study, and not go in with a more tunnel vision of what they should be studying, right?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So in my 10-page business plan and in the op-ed, I had us going to high schools, right? But to your point earlier, there is a great organization called Invest in Girls, and that's what they do. And so I called up the founder and I said, and now Catherine has spoken with Dune Thorne, and now they're part of CEE, the Council of Economic Education. So they're a pipeline into Girls Invest. We were already working together on that. So I completely agree with you. And in the early days, I had, we have this contact us button on our website, right? And so I got inbound emails from high school girls asking me, this college program is so cool, what about us? I said, I'm coming for you, And there's already this organization, and I tell them, there's already this organization called Invest in Girls, go check it out. If you need an introduction, I'm happy to do it, right? I then started getting emails from middle school girls, which I thought was so cool. And they were asking those questions, what books can I read, And then we, as an organization, started thinking, well, maybe even on our website or somehow to help those people. And then honestly, it doesn't have to just be girls, it could be boys too, right? Maybe we can put up resources like that and help. Maybe just, put something up that here's a reading books. I don't know, have you thought about reading these books, right? I mean, a book club kind of thing, or whatever, I don't know. If there's anything that I love doing more, it's just getting up and whiteboarding and chatting and brainstorming about all these kinds of things, right? So, but yes, there's Council of Economic Education and Investing Girls that they've now come together. They're combined entities, sort of, and we're speaking with them about, again, how can we help? And then, by the way, our alumni, and we encourage this, because again, it's about building this community and giving back. Our alumni have gone back to their high schools where they grew up, and they're going to talk to them about what it is to be an investor and about Girls Who Invest, so that when you get there, you already know and you're already applying. I mean, this stuff has been happening to me recently, which again, I get teary-eyed, honestly, about where friends of mine are emailing me saying, Seema, I was just having lunch the other day with so-and-so, and I was, they wanted me to meet their daughter, who's just going to be a freshman, at Rice University, and so she, because this woman is like a very influential, successful woman in business, okay, and who's become a dear friend, and so she was just saying, my friend, he wanted me to meet his daughter, so he made me pick my brain about what she should study, and the same kinds of questions, right? And she's writing, I'm reading this email. This happened recently, and I just started, I was beaming, I was tearing up, and she said, so the young woman asked her, well, what should I do? I'm a freshman, just starting out, classes, I think I want to go into business, but I'm not sure. And so, of course, my friend says to her, which has to be joking, there's no way she would ever do this. She's like, you just hang out and have fun. I'm like, you did not say that to you. That is so not you, right? And now he's kind of retired or whatever. But and then the young woman said to her, no, actually, I don't want to do that. The only thing I want to do this summer is apply to this program called Girls Who Invest. And she said she beamed with pride, and I like, oh my God, this is so cool. So yes, if we could go younger through the help of already existing organizations and people and our own alums, our own scholars, we want to do all of it, right? We just have limited resources, of course, to do the thing we're doing, but that's where we partner and that's where we can collaborate. So, for all of you too who have daughters of your own or even sons of your own, this is the other thing that I found fascinating about Girls Invest, and I think I underestimated too, which was I got invited to speak at the University of Michigan. I believe it's the largest collegiate investment conference in the country. And they gather and convene all investment clubs, so students that are men and women, right, and colleges all across the US, and they bring them there. And so I got invited to speak. I think it was the opening or the closing keynote or whatever. And one of the things that I said to the young men in the audience was this. I gave them examples of billionaire men, like leaders in our industry. I was like, I think you want to be like them one day, right? But be like them in the way they are now in terms of their support and commitment to hiring the most diverse teams they can, to making sure there's a place at the table, seat at the table, because they deserve to be there, right? You want to be like those men. So I'm hopeful that you are those men to your fellow women, friends, and colleagues. Because you guys are the future of this industry. And if you figure it out now, my God, we are going to be not only, gosh, we're going to be in great shape as an industry, but we're going to be in great shape as a world. If you guys are going to go out and be leaders together like that, kind of arm in arm, starting now, and I'll sleep well at night. So, yeah, I think it's important for all of us.
Take one more.
First of all, so thanks for doing everything you're doing, really amazing. Second thing I'm thinking is, and maybe it's kind of obvious you've thought about it, but have you brought the program or thought about encouraging recruiting for diversity? Places like Barnard or other historically female colleges or HBCs, things like that. There seem to be a great population of trying to get diverse talent in places where they are.
All of those schools, actually, where we get women from all of those schools, and our team, this team, is represented by 2 here, but there's so many more amazing, back in the office, I guess, or at home, working from home, I don't know. But this team hired, an incredible director of recruiting and admissions from, it was Columbia University, right? So, they have more resources than we do, but they have the smarts. They know how to do this because we were pretty good in the beginning at getting that, especially the ethnic diversity and the socioeconomic diversity, which we just get better every year at. And they dug deeper, our team, and they went deeper, and we went because we were still trying to figure out why are there still women that are not applying, right? And there are, look, of that 70% women of color that I mentioned in the 2,500. A lot of those women are East Asian, South Asian women, but 30% of these women are Black and Latino women, which our industry so doesn't look like, as you know. And we get better. We're actually going even deeper, which I love. I mean, I'm so proud of. We're going even deeper to figure out who do we need, like, these influencers, brand influencers. We're not talking about brand influencers, with make millions of dollars, these college students, not that kind of influencer, but finding people within these universities who may run a club or a group or whatever, who may not be interested at all in investing and wouldn't apply themselves to Girls Who Invest, but they're spreading the word to their friends about it and encouraging them to apply. Because look, there are still women out there I know, and fewer, because this team is all over it, that still don't believe they can be successful in our industry. You go to our website, you see yourself, oh my God, 100%. You see your college, you see your major study, you see your ethnicity, you see everything. You see you, but there's still women out there who still don't believe it. And we're going and finding those and bringing them into. So, yeah, I'm very proud of this. 180 colleges, different colleges and universities. A lot of them are HBCUs. A lot of them are the women's colleges. I mean, the first 2 years, I took 2 years out of my career, by the way, to build Girls Who Invest. And I've not taken a dime out of this organization. I've only put my own money in. And so those first 2 years, I read every single application, and I sat in that classroom every day on Penn's campus at work. And I would listen and learn about, why do you think that, or how do you feel about this, and what can we do better? We're always trying to do that. What can we do better? How can we make this better? A better experience for you, better experience for the partner firms, the firms that are hiring these women, everything. And so, gosh, I mean, even from so part of the application, right? We have 2 essay questions, 2 recommendation letters. Of course, you grade your scores, your extra work experience. I knew we had to have that stuff, the basic stuff. But I spent so much time thinking about these essay questions. And Bloomberg was one of the ones, not Mayor Bloomberg himself, but someone on his team who interviews all of their journalists worldwide. I went to talk to him, and I showed him my 2 essay questions because I wanted to understand, what do these women think about? How do they think? What do they value, and who do they value? It's fundamental questions I had, and I didn't have time to interview them either. So I'm like, boy, my reputation's on the line now, so I better do something. So I created this thing that now a lot of people copy, which I love. A 1-minute video clip they have to submit why they want to be a part of the program. And again, tech investor did not use YouTube, had no idea how to do this, or I had to figure out how to upload that. They know how to do these videos. So that's the application, right? And in there you learn things, so many things about what these women are up against. And then so we learn from that, and then we refine our recruiting and admissions process. And now we get thousands and thousands of applications, and there's a webinar though still of me and how I read an application. Again, because I did that for the first 2 years, every day, right? And how we score the different things, all that kind of stuff. And now we have professional readers that read all these, but our team looks at every single one, signs off on every single one. And so it's a serious process. But I believe you would all agree, it's very inclusive. I don't think it's too intimidating. We're hoping it wouldn't be too intimidating a process. And even for the online programs, which is all self-directed online learning, right? We're not kind of there face-to-face with them as much, but more and more these days. The teams, like, we're going to pull them in too. And we have an alumni conference. We had online scholars. We have on-campus scholars. I mean, so we don't have it all figured out, I don't think, right? But we're getting better every day at this. And I'll tell you, the best marketing ever for us is when we get one woman to apply from, say, University of Florida, and no one had ever applied to our program before. When that woman goes through our program, she goes back and does information session after information session. And the team here, you need $50 for pizza for a party? We're all for that. College students love free food. So that's how we get them to come. But then we get 20 applications from that university. This is how we've been able to do it from, I think it was 30, well, not even, like 20, probably 20 different universities in the first year when I did it. And now we're up to 180 different universities. So if you have ideas to help us, please let us know.
I think, Seema, if you're staying around, that's make it work. Are you sticking around?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll take more questions as.
Yeah, that sounds good. Everyone must be thirsty and hungry. Well, thanks very much, everyone. It was really nice to meet all of you.